Now let's bring in Dan Ives, Wedbush Securities Global Head of Technology Research. More on Tesla and Microsoft as we're still waiting for Meta's results. Meta's late, but Dan Ives, Tesla is here, and it's way off the lows here, now down just 2% after missing on the top and bottom. Is it about these cheaper vehicles?
Yeah, I think there's two key things here. One, committing first half of the year that they're going to produce those. I think there was a lot of concern that they weren't. This potential could push out in 2026. They doubled down there. And then the other thing that's important in terms of cybercab and autonomous, basically saying robotaxi, you'll start to get parts later this year, full volume production 2026. That, look, 90% of the story right now, it's about AI, autonomous, cybercab, what I believe is at next level. Obviously, numbers itself a little sort of soft, but that's the key. I think there's probably a stock that's going to be up tomorrow.
Microsoft's also off the lows. What matters here, particularly in the commentary, this is a earnings call where we get a lot more on guidance.
Yeah, of course. And this is one you always really have to wait till guidance, but $13 billion. In terms of that AI trajectory, I mean, that's really what the street's focused on, because this is something that's ultimately going to be 20, 25, ultimately $30 billion. That's what's driving this Nadella and Microsoft story. And even though if you look at it, you talk about currency, that could be a bit of a headwind. I think this is one, as your growth actually accelerates, I think the conference call is going to be bullish. They doubled down on the $80 billion in terms of CapEx, especially this week, hearing with DeepSeek and everything else. I think this is another one. I look at this numbers, I feel more bullish because that ultimate AI number, I mean, that's really the lotto ticket right now if you own Microsoft.
I want to go back to Tesla for a second. How important is it, given everything that he is focused on right now, including in Washington, for Musk to be on the call? And when you do think about something like robotaxi and autonomous driving, especially on a day where Waymo is announcing that it's going to expand its own taxis to 10 new cities, how much now hinges on that policy green light happening with this administration?
Yeah, I mean, look, it comes down to the deregulatory environment, the Musk bet on Trump, in terms of the bet for the ages. Now you need to see it in terms of the autonomous roadmap from a federal perspective. It is important. Obviously, Musk is on the call, talks about robotaxi, talks about ultimately the timeline there, the view of autonomous, unsupervised FSD. Look, Morgan, these are really the things that are going to drive the stock. I mean, look, earnings itself are important in the next quarter or two, but I believe when you look out, I believe the AI autonomous story, that's worth $1 trillion alone. That's really going to be front and center on this call, along with what John asked about first half of the year, making sure doubling down these lower cost vehicles are out there. That's how you get to 20, 30% type of volume growth in 2025.
Given the fact that we had this DeepSeek shakeout in the market to start the week, we just got some comments from some of the CEOs, tech CEOs that John just spoke to with earnings. We're still waiting on Meta. Zuckerberg just earlier this month actually had some interesting commentary on the Joe Rogan podcast about DeepSeek. How to think about what this does to drive down cost and who the beneficiaries are going to be, because there are going to be beneficiaries, just thinking about some of the comments from ServiceNow, for example.
Yeah, and look, I mean, it comes down to that 65 billion. They're going to reiterate that probably 3 times in terms of CapEx for Meta and Zuck, 80 billion from Microsoft. Look, DeepSeek, it was a scare, but and I continue to view it, it's bullish for the overall AI revolution, because going back to ServiceNow, Palantir, Salesforce.com, it's the use cases, it's software. That's not slowing it down in terms of what we saw in DeepSeek. And I think if you look at that, it was a shot across the bow. But ultimately, we're going to look out in the next week or two in terms of earnings. The AI revolution is actually accelerating. And I think that is really going to be sort of a narrative that we hear even tonight.
Meta's teasing us. It's way late. What do you want to hear from them? Maybe even when it comes to Llama and its DeepSeek commentary?
Yeah, I think 3 things you want to hear. 1, 60 to 65 billion. Just that reiteration, just showing the confidence from Zuckerberg and Meta from a CapEx perspective. 2, talking about all 3 billion plus, DAUs, like how are you going to monetize that, showing the strategy from an AI perspective. And then, of course, advertising. Is it high teen growth? Our checks here at Wedbush continue to be much more bullish when it comes to what we're seeing on the advertising side. They're in a position of strength. And I think you've seen it with Zuckerberg and some podcasts, and even when he's talked about, this is a company that's on the offensive. They know that they're in a position of strength. Now show it, monetization. Obviously, you know, they want to be on this conference call. I think it's really an important one, probably one of the most important ones in the last 4 or 5 quarters.
And we know, at least from what we heard from Meta last week, that the CapEx continues at up to $65 billion this year.
Yeah, look, DeepSeek, we continue to view it. It's going to be just a small blip in what's going to be a multi-year AI revolution. It is not changing, and you're going to see that tone from these tech CEOs tonight.